I do think two high-powered ring lights would be much better. They'd be a better alternative to that softbox. But they need to be more powerful than that. That's not powerful enough on its own. Bow, bow. Right. We shall redouble our efforts. Go live in a 5 and a 4. Oh. 3, 2, 1. And we're live and interactive here at MBE.
Hello and welcome to this Monday's edition of Movie News here at MBE.
Oh
Just
dear.
want to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream where we are live and interactive.
Or are we, Stephen?
As always.
Are we? I don't think we are interactive on Twitch.
Walsh. Well, I don't know, John.
Shit.
Nobody interacts with us. We are willing to interact with anyone who's daft enough.
Sadly,
to follow us on.
I think we're only on YouTube just now, Stephen. That's a shame. Oh well.
Well, what can you do? But
horses for
you might hear
courses.
That's not an antivirus coming through. Tell me I have to renew. If you hear that little bell ringing there, but
I get a little vibration at my watch tell me that I have successfully completed all of my exercise for today. Thank you, watch. I know that. I don't need you to tell me.
Yeah, the machines are taking over. Rise
Siri,
of the
screw you.
machines, John. Listen, we're going to be talking about Thor 4 here, as you can guess from our thumbnail.
Yes.
And of course our headline. And it's all about costumes. And I'll give you my thoughts in a little moment, John, on the costume.
It's all very Chris Pine and Wonder Woman 1984, isn't it? It's all very bumbag German 1980s. But
Michael Jackson leathers, yeah. But anyway,
in fairness,
he
does pull it off better.
Your favourite newspaper, John, but we'll go there in a little
Oh, we
moment.
will. I've got it opened.
First set photos reveal Chris Hemsworth's Love and Thunder costume.
What's going on with this show?
The images. Out of all the movies and TV shows Marvel has planned for Phase 4, Thor Love and Thunder is definitely one of the most anticipated. Not only does it see Taika Waititi return to the director's chair after his acclaimed work on Thor Ragnarok,
I'm one shot.
This is a joke. Style cast. The stacked ensemble includes all of the main Guardians of the Galaxy actors, minus Zoe Saldana's Gamora. John, I didn't know that. I did not know that she was not going to be appearing in this film. Christian Bale as villain Gore the God Butcher and returning Thor veterans Tessa Thompson, Natalie Portman, and Jamie Alexander, among others. Viewers are obviously excited to see how all these pieces come together, and now they can see some of the stars in action. Now, the Daily Mail released the first batch of Thor Love and Thunder set photos, some of which shows Hemsworth and Chris Pratt in full costume as they get ready for scenes. The gallery also includes the looks at Sean Gunn's Kraglin and Karen Gillan as Nebula. And you can check these out, John, and you're already checking them out. What's your thoughts on these costumes, John? I've got to be honest with you. I hope that's not the version of his costume. I hate that.
Stephen, I think it's probably them going incognito in some scene within the movie. I don't think this will be the definitive Thor costume in Thor Love and Thunder. I think it will be very much just a scene where it really requires him to maybe dress up in an odd godlike fashion. Could be that he is maybe gallivanting with Jane at this point, or some other character, and we have the likes of Peter Quill coming in, aka Star-Lord, and the rest of the Guardians coming in and spoiling his party, maybe trampling on his toes a little bit. I don't think it's the worst look. I mean, this guy can pull off anything. Let's be honest. He's an absolute monster. He's doing weight training. He's, in a sense, trying to look like Hulk Hogan at the moment. And we both know Hulk Hogan is a brute, or was a brute of a man. Probably still is. 6'6" or something. Huge muscles. He's getting pretty close to Hulk Hogan level physique. And he was already impressive prior to that. So this guy can really pull off anything at this stage. It doesn't really matter if it's a sort of Freddie Mercury tank top with the sort of stonewash look. I'm with you, though. I don't want this to be the definitive Thor costume. We want the traditional sort of cape look. And I can see he's got the long hair back as well, Stephen. I think you did have that in Endgame as well. I'm not entirely sure. He had it cut for Ragnarok. He get fat. That's probably the main, I should say, talking point from this. We have not got Fat Thor. People were questioning, would we see Fat Thor again, or would it be the thin, more robust Thor that we've seen in previous incarnations? Well, we know the answer now. He's not Fat Thor. All of those little bitches will be happy on social media that says they were fat shaming, that it was played as a joke. It wasn't played as a joke. The guy was depressed. He thought he had killed all of his friends in half the universe by not going for the head. He'd lost his mother, he'd lost his brother, he'd lost his sister, he'd lost his father. His entire family wiped out. The guy was fucking depressed. And when you're depressed, you tend to get fat. So he was fat. I'm sorry he's killing me here. I'm going to take this watch off, get it to hell. When you're depressed, you tend to overeat, Stephen, and you get fat. I wouldn't know, I've never been depressed, but I presume that's what happened. So I thought it was a cool storyline for the character. A god, untouchable, arrogant, hubristic character gets fat and almost becomes human. And now he's not,
But he made his peace at the end of Endgame.
Yep.
You know, he resolved a lot of things with his mother, obviously, and the Tessa Thompson character as well at the very end. You knew he was in a better place by the end as well. You know, all joking aside, with obviously Star-Lord at the end of that film, we knew he was in a better place than he was at the beginning of the film. He was an absolute mess because he didn't go for the head. But so it kind of answered its own sort of question. But you're absolutely right. I think people blew it out of proportion. The reaction to his physique in Endgame. But you know, it was in a very dark place, as you said. You know, a lot of loss, and obviously his family and his friends. But I'm hoping, you know, and I know that Taika Waititi brought a sort of light element to Ragnarok. I'm hoping he can find that sort of somewhere in between for Love and Thunder. And I'm sure he will. I don't think we're going to get another Ragnarok. I don't think he's going to have that kind of tone again. That suited the storyline. It suited the character of the Jeff Goldblum character and everything surrounding that sort of...
Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster.
Yeah, he was great.
The colourful sort of... I mean, you almost forget the sister in the film,
Helen,
played by Kate Blanchett, because of the sort of robust colours, the over the top.
She was a classic sort of borderline Disney villain. Yeah. She was incredible, fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I really liked.
Rolling back the years as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But I think, John, we're going to get somewhere in between. I think that's, I think that's a must.
Stephen, I'll let you go. Sorry, I'm interrupting
you.
You're
fine, you're okay.
What do you make about the other main character in this, Peter Quill? What do you think about his look? Because they're saying this is a new costume look. I'm going to try and bring this up again. Briefly, you will be on the screen, not me. What do you make about that? Chris Pratt in this movie. They're saying that's a new look. It doesn't look that new to me. Apparently there's...
Possibly on the sleeves. I think the sleeves look a little bit different. But
somebody says
wore those sort of length of coats. He's always wore the sort of 3/4 length coats anyway.
Somebody says somebody says he looks unwell. I don't think he looks unwell. I think what you're seeing is a man trying to compete with Chris Hemsworth in the physique department. Knows he has to lose the tubby sort of nature that he puts on between these movies. He's not fat.
I'll tell you something. I've just looked at myself in the screen just now, and I think I picked the worst colour of top to wear with that background. I look like a floating head. I blend right into the
Stephen, do you remember when we were going on holiday about 10 years ago? Was it maybe 10 years ago? That's maybe ripping it. About 7 years ago. And I was really thin at the time. I had hyperthyroidism. I took a shot in the hotel before we went, and it was just me in a white t-shirt with white bedding, and I looked like I looked dead. I looked like I'd been decapitated.
You look like you were an extra from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I did. I was doing my Marty Feldman Crazy Eyes. Of course, I had Graves' disease. Thankfully, I don't seem to have it just now. Hopefully, that remains. But I can do the crazy-eyed Marty Feldman look, and I've tried to do it there. I don't know if I've done it. I've got a sort of touch for sending eyes off in different directions. One of these days, I'll be stuck like that, and I'll be crying into my pillow, into my big.
The wind changes, yeah.
Yes. But look, I don't know where I went with that. Stephen, I think he looks cool. I think the two of them look pretty cool, to be honest. This intrigues me for the storyline. This is the first shots we've seen of this movie, and we're already seeing Ford and borderline 80s get up. So it's intriguing. We know that Taika says it's going to be a very different movie, as you did say. You don't expect it to be the same as for Ragnarok. He himself says it will be a mixed bag of real emotional stuff, romantic elements, sort of humour, comedy in it. And we've seen with Jojo Rabbit, this guy's an absolute master at combining all these different genres. Sometimes within a scene, he can have you laughing with, crying with laughter, and then crying.
Like
Crafting, there you go, I've made a word up. That's just perfect for Taika. Crying and laughing together. So I've got full confidence this guy's going to nail it. I'm excited for the aesthetics already. I can't wait to see where the hell this is happening in the movie and why he's wearing this sort of Freddie Mercury style get up. But you still got your, what was it, Stormbreaker? You still got the actual axe. So even though he seems to be on casual sort of duty, he's still got the axe with him, so he's ready to decapitate people. So it's going to be intriguing. Very intriguing.
Yeah, I can't wait, John. Another film I'm looking forward to is The Matrix 4. And that's what we're going to talk about now. And this coming in from Screen Rant once again. Why the Resurrections title is perfect for Neo's return. Now, we've talked about Matrix 4 quite a few times, John, on the show over the last 12 months or so. One thing we didn't really touch on was obviously the title of what it was going to be called. We were referring to it as Matrix 4 like everyone else, but it was something we never really had any theories on, like we have done with Spider-Man 3, what it's going to be called. But Resurrections kind of ties in with biblical references that the Wachowskis have always associated with the original trilogy. And I'm just going to read this little bit, John, that's coming in from Screen Rant, and then I'll let you in with your thoughts and maybe some theories as well about Neo's pending
resurrection.
His resurrection.
Well, it was always a sort of Christ-like figure, wasn't he? So it fits.
Yeah, so it says here, from the themes of love, free will, and self-sacrifice to biblical names like Zion and Nebuchadnezzar, the Matrix trilogy contains many obvious parallels to Christian theology. And now the Matrix series has introduced the biblical concept of resurrection. Since Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are returning and the Matrix 4 takes place after Matrix 3, it effectively confirmed that Neo and Trinity will both be resurrected. But while the title Matrix Resurrections would connect the series to biblical themes even more, it also implies Neo's return might not last. Neo's identity as the One has been compared to other Christ figures in figures like Harry Potter, Aslan and Superman. Each of those characters had died and been resurrected, but the archetype has been used in popular fiction so often that it becomes a predictable trope. The Matrix 4 could subvert the trope and include an aspect of Christian theology that rarely included in popular fiction alongside resurrection: ascension. After the Neo sacrificed himself to save humanity, for which he was likely granted resurrection, he may move on to some sort of elevated plane of existence in Matrix Resurrections. John, never really thought beyond Matrix 4, to be honest with you, if it's going to be another trilogy or not. Another question is, will Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves continue on after Matrix 4 anyway?
Well, Stephen, I sincerely hope we do, because when I think of the Matrix, I think of Keanu Reeves, really, and if he's not there, then you've lost a huge part of that attraction to the movies. But I suppose if Lana Wachowski sets it up in such a way whereby he's passing the baton on to another intriguing character, then I could maybe be inclined to go and watch maybe 2 other movies afterwards. I never really looked at it that way, that he could be moving on to another elevated plane of existence. I don't know if I like that. This guy was already a borderline god within the Matrix itself. I'll go to myself, Steve, and give you a break, man. You've been getting absolutely hammered the entire show. I've been on you, I've been Joel, I've been on you. You've not had a break, man. Either way, I really am excited for this movie now. There was a point where I wasn't really that fussed about it. I thought, why are we doing another Matrix movie? We had a trilogy, realistically one good movie in the trilogy. Maybe the second movie had its moments, maybe 1.5 good movies out of an entire trilogy. The film industry's moved on, expectations from fans have moved on. What you can do with pioneering visuals and stuff like that, like the Wachowskis were famed for back in the first Matrix, has moved on. It's hard to stun people, excite people. We've already obviously seen it with Favreau and the Mandalorian, what he's doing with the screen technology. We've seen it time and again with James Cameron. So initially I wasn't overly enthused at the thought of the Matrix coming back, but look, I'll bring you back in just because I've seen enough of Mowgli mushing my Casper-like head. But now they've kind of changed me around. The excitement from Carrie-Anne Moss, the excitement from Keanu Reeves. This is a guy who's in a renaissance just now. He's hot property. This guy doesn't have to pick any old shitty script. He's doing passion projects, and he's doing things like Bill and Ted, that he's unfinished business that you could finally get it financed because he's on the rise. So the fact he's saying the script's good, there's something interesting there, that intrigues me as well, because there must be something. And then everybody else round about is saying it's a really interesting script, so I'm on board for it. The only other thing, again, I keep saying it, where the hell is Morpheus? He's another main player. You've got Trinity in there, you've got Neo, but you've not got Morpheus. I think this is going to be a sort of search for Morpheus type movie. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah.
Because the guy, it's almost like Luke Skywalker. This guy's such an important character to the world. But this is intriguing, man. They're right what they say. The sort of Christ-like comparisons. We've seen it in the original Matrix trilogy. He was the Christ, the Redeemer, the sort of saviour, the one. They rightly say Aslan, Harry Potter, Superman. You've had it with Paul Atreides as well in Dune. That's sort of the chosen one, and how that can weigh down and how it can affect this person's ability to carry out the thing they're meant to be doing. So it's intriguing. He'd done it in the original Matrix. I don't know how they go around this with this one, but resurrection, maybe he's been resurrected back from the dead to save the day. I hope not, though. I hope it's a prequel, or they're going back to an alternate timeline or some shit like that. I don't want to see the events that happened after Revolutions, was it? So it's intriguing. It is intriguing. I do agree. I think it is a good title. It'd be a fitting title. It'd certainly be in line with what we had before.
Yeah. There's something in the back of my head that this is going to be a passing the baton, and I'm fed up with this kind of formula for franchises that were dead and buried. Let's be honest with you. You know, after Reloaded,
Ghostbusters,
the quality that with this trilogy, I was happy for the Matrix to be a standalone film. I wasn't really that bothered about sequels. It's all in hindsight now. You know, I was probably excited as most people were when it was announced there was going to be sequels to that original 1999 film. There's something about the original that I just liked. I think it was a self-contained group on the Nebuchadnezzar. Being educated in how the Matrix works through the likes of Morpheus and Trinity, you know, and us, or I should say Neo was the sort of the audience. You know, he was going along the story at the same pace as ourselves, and learning how these things operate and the truth about the Matrix as well in the real world. After you do that, I get the whole Zion thing and, you know, expanding out the sort of mythology and expanding the cast as well. I totally understand they've got to do that to keep it interesting, keep it fresh, but there's something lost after that first film for me. I know that a lot of people like Reloaded.
I like the twins.
Effects, I feel, they were great, John. Some of the visual effects have dated terribly, as we've, you know, scoffed at the whole Agent Smith thing, the multiple agents with the face thing going on, just cut and paste.
You remember at the time though, Stephen, though? That was revolutionary at the time.
Yeah.
People were creaming themselves over that.
Yeah. John. I don't know, a story like that, I think, was always intended after they brought out the second one. The third one, I do think that was supposed to tie things up and wrap things up, and that's why they killed off, obviously, the main two. Which is interesting, because the main two who were killed off in the third one are coming back, and the one that actually survived isn't coming back. So I'm like yourself. I would have preferred possibly a prequel or an alternative universe, you know, where that trilogy stays where it is, and if you want to go back and watch that and enjoy it, you can. And this is a new thing, you know, we're bringing these two main characters back into another world, you know, in another story, and it's something separate. But it does look like it's going to be a continuation, I'm afraid.
Well, Steve, what you say there about the two of them, or the characters that didn't make it, being involved in the character that did make it not being involved, perhaps they will resurrect into a different world, different universe or something, and that's where the story's going to carry on, sans perhaps Morpheus. I don't know. I've got faith in Lana though, Wachowski, to get it right, man, and hopefully it'll be a semi-decent. Hopefully it's not another Dark Fate, but it's just a letdown. Shit.
That's crossed.
An abomination.
We're going to move on, John, about abominations. 2017's Justice League has been resurrected into the Snyder Cut, and this is what we're talking about. Zack Snyder confirms his.
That was Josh Whedon again, though, wasn't it?
Has finally complete. That's your favourite director, isn't it?
The man with the obsession about vision and his appendages.
Yeah.
Thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Thank God that didn't happen.
While fans have been waiting for years for Warner Brothers to release the Snyder Cut, the director confirmed on Vero today that work on the movie is finished. When replying to a fan on Vero asking if the cut was done, Snyder simply responded, "It is." A screenshot of Snyder's comment can be seen below, courtesy of Sam Parker Metal. As you can see, John, it's actually split into, I think it's two images split there, and you can just go into Twitter.
Is it done? Is it really done?
It's a short.
Sir, will step and will voice be the same? From No Protectors trailer. It will. It is. It was me.
Years leading up to its announcement were laden with fans' debates as to whether it could or should exist. Snyder fans are devoted, but an equal number of DC fans saw DCEU as bloated and aggressively non-heroic. Even after its announcement, the idea of even more expensive reshoots and re-edits seemed unnecessary for a movie released a few years ago. Even some DC execs don't seem to know why they're bothering to make it. The Snyder Cut will in fact be the end of Snyder's involvement with the DCEU, with the director previously saying he has no plans to make Justice League 2. That said, whether fans believe the DCEU is a good cinematic universe or not, it's commendable that his effort is still being made to let Snyder release his original vision, John. Well, it's good to see that it's in the can now. It's ready to go.
Yep.
We're not that far away now from its release. It's 4-hour long release. That was the thing we talked about a couple of weeks ago. It's not going to be a 4-part miniseries, which I'm happy about.
Yeah.
I want to see this as it is. As we said a couple of weeks ago, it's the fucking Justice League. It's a movie, and it's DC's showpiece.
I am the fucking clique. That's what you sounded like there, Stephen Ringo Starr.
All their biggest heroes all combined, John. And this is what they should have been 4 years ago. You know, and this is what. Listen, it was unfortunate. Obviously, it was a terrible tragedy what happened in Zack Snyder's life, John.
Yeah.
So you can understand that the studio had to bring someone in who had been down that road before. Obviously, Josh Whedon, his experience, obviously with the Avengers, the original movie, and Age of Ultron. They needed a director that could handle big characters, you know, and it is what it is. You know, there's bits in it I do like. I know you like bits as well, John, in there. But it was a whole mishmash of errors, continual errors. And this is putting things right. And I think this will be Zack Snyder's final involvement in this DCEU. I don't believe he's going to come back to it after this. I think it's going to give him some peace of mind as well that this film has been released to his vision. So I'm looking forward to it.
Stephen, it's like Los Anteca, the great Max von Sydow. This will begin to make things right. Sadly, in his case, it didn't make things right. It made things a whole lot worse. But I think this will make things right because he was the DCEU. It was his brainchild. The sort of overarching story, the utilisation of all these characters. And for it to end in ignominy the way it did, it wasn't good for all parties. It wasn't good for fans of Zack Snyder. And there is fans out there, funnily enough. It's not quite like Michael Bay now, where everyone hates him. I think there's a sizable proportion of people who don't like him, but there is an equal proportion, as you can see in social media, who love the guy, want to see his vision. And thankfully, he was a sleek, sly little shit, recording his version of the movie behind the scenes, 8 hours of it, I think it was, or something crazy like that. So he's now been empowered to be able to make his vision and put it onto whatever screen it's going to be, a small screen in HBO Max, or maybe it'll be a ceremonial theatrical release if we can get it out in a theatre somewhere. And I'm glad it is, Stephen. There was elements of the original Justice League I didn't mind. The Superman Reawakening. Thought that was immense.
Yeah,
I think Snyder's version will be much better though. The black suit, it'll be more emotional. Delving into this guy, you see him going back to the farm in Smallville and stuff like that. It's just going to be more layered, a better version of in every way. The whole cyborg Ray Fisher thing, he'll get his day in the limelight. The Flash looks as though he's getting more. He was a joke in the original movie. He was playing for comedic levity. Even that scene I liked, looking at Superman and things like that. It was a joke. And Ezra Miller's better than that. He's a great actor. He's wacky, eccentric, but he is an amazing actor. You've seen it as Credence Barebones in The Fantastic Beasts. You've seen it in Flashes and in The Flash, if you pardon the pun. If that even is a pun, I don't know. It's kinda. It doesn't work though. It's Flashes, not Flash. So there was elements he got right, but I think it'll be so much better at this time. And to quote that so-called DC Warner Brothers exec, it doesn't understand why it's getting made. It's getting made because it makes commercial success, sense I should say, for it to be made. HBO Max will get subscribers from this. It will get eyeballs on the DCEU again, and if they want to reignite it and soft reboot, then this is the way to do it. You bring it in. This is his version instead of Joss Whedon's version. That's canon. You can do something with Flashpoint and reboot the whole thing if there's a desire for it, if it hits off. That's why they're doing it. I'm not even an executive at a studio, and I know that it's a sensible thing to do. You keep this guy inside for the future if you want to bring him back. If it all comes off, as I did say, they can reboot it. I can't wait to see it, man. Hopefully we get to see it. We've not got HBO Max over here. I don't know how we're going to get it, but I'm sure we will.
Just before we move on, do you think we will get a theatrical trailer?
Hope so, but I don't know because we, as I said, Stephen, we don't have HBO Max. And the sort of dual release strategy they're employing over in the US, we're not getting it. So they're watching it on TV and in theatres over there. We're just having to wait until it's a theatrical run. So has Wonder Woman 1984 even been released officially over here in the UK? Because I have to admit, I've seen it. I'm not going to lie, I've seen it. I wasn't waiting to come out in the theatres. Not a chance, man. I've seen it. Not even going to lie. I wasn't impressed. There you go. It was a bit shit. It was someone asked, I think it was actually T3 Medias, I seen a comment, I think it was a little conversation, and I think one of the questions was a movie you were looking forward to and it disappointed you terribly. Wonder Woman 1984. Looking forward to that movie and it disappointed me. So I don't know how we'll get to see it. It could be we a theatrical theatre sort of trailer over here because it has to be released in theatres. I don't know. But how would it work? It's 4 hours. 2 hour.
Yeah,
intermission.
I'm past the end. I've thought about Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, Wonder Woman. Yeah.
I don't know how it would work, John. I think possibly here in the UK it may be delayed. It may be delayed to the summer. I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I'm sure it will sort itself out. I can wait. I've been waiting a few years now for this part anyway, so I'll wait a little while longer. It doesn't bother me. But we're going to move on, John, to our next topic, and it's the Batman will prove that Robert Pattinson shouldn't regret Twilight. I like your title there, John. Not sure he appreciates that.
Oh, he hates that.
But
says he wants to kill the person that came up with it.
No wonder.
Pats.
While he was still starring as Edward Cullen, the teenage vampire, Pattinson famously dismissed his star-making role in Myers' blockbuster paranormal romance saga. However, the actor shouldn't be so quick to regret his biggest hit, as the Batman will soon prove that the series was just what he needed to get his footing in Hollywood. Cringeworthy as it may have been, the Twilight series afforded the actor opportunities to improve his craft outside the mainstream, while simultaneously proving that he had the charisma and screen presence necessary to be a blockbuster star, and the movies could have ended up influencing the roles he takes on later on in his career, including the Cape Crusader, John. I'm not going to read too much more of that because I'm not really well versed in Twilight, and I was never interested in it. I wasn't part of that demographic, to follow that series. Let's be honest, it was for teenagers.
It was a load of shit, Stephen. That's the truth. The biggest pile of shit.
With you, I'm not that interested in players here, to be honest with you. So, both combined, it's not for me. But John, I get what they're saying here. Sometimes actors have to go through things they don't like doing to really learn their craft. And it's little things like on-screen charisma. Doesn't matter what the film is or what the franchise is, and it might not be something that appeals to you. But for the actor, I think it's very important to have these elements in place. It separates the good actors from the great actors, or the great actors from the good actors, I should say. And Robert Pattinson, from what we've seen already, away from all the sort of big hits, we watched The Lighthouse last year. We obviously watched Tenet at the end of last year. His charisma and screen presence is there because he has crafted his art, in the previous films. I know that he's done a whole host of independent films, John, after Twilight stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that was the best thing that ever happened to this guy. I'll tell you something else as well. When he was announced as the next Batman, I wasn't even bummed about it in any way. I don't think I've ever been actually bummed about anyone being cast as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Certainly Michael Keaton.
After George Clooney, come on.
Excited about. Well, George Clooney's a good actor. It was a terrible film, but when it was announced that Robert Pattinson was being announced, I actually was on board. I don't know about yourself, John.
Stephen, absolutely.
I was excited about this.
Stephen, look, I know he's a great actor, despite the Twilight shit. I was aware of the fact he was off doing independent movies. I hadn't watched the vast majority. I've delved into the guy's career now, and he's definitely a really good actor. Cool guy as well off screen. Dead laid back and chill. He's not a guy that's been touched with fame and thinks he's a fancy pants and better than everyone else. I think they're right, Stephen, what they say. I think it's definitely conditioned him for the Batman, because they go through and point it out. Twilight proved he had box office blockbuster sort of potential. He could be the leading man in a big franchise and hold it and have all the adulation and not crumble. And that's an important thing to have for these big studios like Warner Brothers, Disney, that you can prove that you can be a leading man, have all the attention and not hit the bottle and stuff like that, and be maybe a noose around their neck, like Johnny Depp perhaps, turning up at premieres drunk and stuff like that. And look, I love Johnny. They also go on to say Twilight lent him the opportunity to go and do art house sort of movies. Having that financial stability after those movies allowed him to go off and pick any project he wanted to do, sort of seek out directors he was excited to work with, and that allowed him not only to maybe improve as an actor, but have the opportunity to catch the eye of a Warner Brothers to be under Matt Reeves in a Batman movie. Perhaps he wouldn't have had that opportunity if he hadn't done Twilight. He'd just went right into independent movies. He wouldn't have been the name. He wouldn't have had the fan base. And then finally they say he's no stranger to playing moody, dark leading men. So it's allowed him in many different levels, despite being perhaps embarrassed of it, to be honed into the guy he is now. And that's why he's now right to play Batman. So I'm excited for this guy's Batman. I'm excited for these movies, period. Reeves knows his shit. He knows Batman. He knows the history of the comics. He proved that when he was putting down the very first edition of the Batman and the first photo he shared when it was announced he was doing the movie. And that sort of inspiration's been passed on to the actors, like Zazie Beetz. And who is it? Who's playing Gordon again? Commissioner Gordon. I'm trying to remember his name. Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright, yeah.
They're all delving into the golden era of Batman. So that inspiration, that love of the canon and the comics has been passed on to the actors. So I've got faith. They know their stuff. And you heard the other guy, I don't know who he's playing, sort of Scandinavian name guy, saying it had the energy of a Pixies concert. So there's just that vibe going on. And I'm absolutely certain Pattinson will be an amazing Batman. We've seen it in the trailer. Who are you? I'm Vengeance. It just looks different to any other Batman movie we've ever seen. I can't wait for it.
It's going to be a good... it's a great cast, John, first and foremost, but I think you're right about Matt Reeves. It's funny because there hasn't been any official announcement of any sequels yet. It's just been talk, but everyone's just expecting there's going to be sequels after this film's release. And I think that's the vibe. It's the vibe that Matt Reeves has given the fans. It's the vibe that Robert Pattinson's given the fans, and the rest of the cast as well, John. That they really do. I know that they've already talked about a television series that's going to spin off from this original film with some of the actors that are going to be in this first film going off to do television stuff that's going to be based in Gotham. Mm-hmm. But there hasn't been any confirmation that there's going to be sequels yet. But that's a given. I think, and I think most people want it already without even seeing the film. That's a good sign, I feel. You don't get into a lot of films thinking that before you've seen the film, and I think most people...
The Last Jedi.
Well, I was going to say, apart from established franchises, John, but I think, The Last Jedi, kill it if you must. Well, he certainly did, Ryan.
Stephen, I remember when it got announced he was getting his own trilogy. I thought, oh God, this is good. He's not had to do a single reshoot. The faith they've shown in this guy, they must see the movie and think this is tremendous. Greenlight that trilogy for him. I thought, this is it. We've got an amazing sequel. Utter shit balls.
Oh.
So we'll wait to the very day we go into the theatre and watch the Batman to maybe cast our judgment. But I'm confident all the pieces are there. Colin Farrell knows his shit. Jeffrey Wright's a great Gordon. Zazie Beetz is energetic, youthful. Patterson's kinda youthful. It's all there, man. The pieces are there for it to be great. Hopefully it is.
Paul Dano as well, yeah.
Paul Dano as well, yeah. It was the Riddler, great actor. And then that Scandinavian guy. And who is it that's playing Carmine Falcone? It's another John Turturro. I think it is Turturro. So great cast, man. Great director.
Can't wait, John.
Looks
but we're
brilliant.
going to just, I was about to say finish and round up the show there, but we've got one last thing after we talk about Wayne's World. It's back, and it's back for a Super Bowl ad. This is from Screen Rant once again, and it's in an Uber Eats advertisement that aired during the most recent episode of SNL. Mike Myers and Dana Carvey brought Wayne's World back to life. It's just for a brief moment in the ad. Myers and Carvey as Wayne and Garth lament sarcastically about the past year and tease more Wayne's World ad content to appear in the Super Bowl, saying, "We'll see you soon for the game and the big bowl." Although it's not the full sequel that fans might have hoped for, audiences have a chance to embrace two of their favourite characters again, while fans have long requested a third instalment in the Wayne's World franchise.
Weird, man.
There's been no real talks of another sequel. On the bright side, Tia Carrera has gone on record to say that she's open to doing another film, so there might be hope yet. However, it doesn't bode well that Wayne's World 2 did not do as well as the first film, nor that since the first Wayne's World, none of the many subsequent films based on SNL sketches performed well financially, John. It was something that I've hoped for a very long time. Probably during Mike Myers' Austin Powers days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really didn't want him doing a third Austin Powers film. I really didn't want him doing a second one, to be honest with you. I liked the first one. It was one of those characters, like So I Married an Axe Murderer, a one and done sort of character. Keep it contained into one film and it will be remembered forever. Those films will be remembered forever, I'm not saying that, but I really did want a third installment. I loved Wayne's World 2. There was something about it. Yeah, it didn't have the sort of originality of the first movie, and it was kind of a bit like Home Alone 2. It was just a regurgitated version in different circumstances, but the story was the same. I still loved it. You know, I loved all that pulling Wayne stock together, all the cameos that were in there. Charlton Heston did an amazing cameo. And I just loved it, you know, and I always wanted a third installment. Looking at that photo, like you mentioned, John, it's too late. It's far too late. I don't really want to see these guys in the condition they're in now. Dana Carvey's in his 60s now. Mike Myers, I think, is a little bit younger, but he's looking a little strange looking.
It looks like a...
There is another important thing, John, I don't know if you're aware of. There was a bit of friction between both actors for a long time, and it was based on Mike Myers. His interpretation of the Dr. Evil character was actually something that Dana Carvey had created for a long time ago, and I think there was a little bit of friction between both of them that he never asked Dana Carvey if he could borrow that interpretation. I think it was of Lorne Michaels, the SNL guy. And I think there's actually an interview where Dana Carvey's on the, what's that, a shock jock in the US called again? Guy with the curly hair.
Oh, shit, I'm blanking his name. Terrible.
Yeah, I his name as well, John. He's a famous shock jock as well. But he had an interview with him anyway, and you know, I think he's been very polite about it. Dana Carvey comes across as a very sincere guy and doesn't like to upset people and didn't really want to fill, you know, the shock jock with gossip, etc. But you could tell that he was very uncomfortable with some of the line of questioning. Yeah,
he was. Yeah, Stan, look, I didn't realise that about the bad blood between these two guys. That's interesting. The fact that I didn't even realise it was.
I don't think it's there now, John. I think the two of them do got in now, but I think there was possibly in the early 2000s there was a little bit of friction between both.
Well, you can
of them.
understand he's stolen his creative idea, and obviously he's made millions off of it, or at least hundreds of thousands of dollars off of that character. That character's became a pop cultural sort of meme at the very least. I don't know about this. I don't know if I want to see a Wayne's World 3. It's very strange the way they look. Mike Myers looks like a Native American. He's always becoming one of his own characters. It's slightly fucking strange, to be honest. To put it bluntly, he looks weird. His hair's way too dark.
Well,
He's way too tanned.
It's Howard Stern.
Howard Stern, yeah, the great Howard Stern. How could I not think that guy's name? I just
Well,
thought
I'm like that.
I thought of September 11th, and I think he done a show while it was happening.
Yeah,
And then he
that
had
was amazing.
yeah, that was incredible. And he was basically talking about how things had changed irrevocably. He's a great radio presenter. He's been doing it for years and years and years. I don't know if I want to see this, man. It's interesting seeing the two back together, bouncing off each other for this commercial, though. That's what the Super Bowl's all about. It's about getting these things back, sort of pop cultural things back, and letting us see them bounce off each other. Maybe they're testing the waters to see if there's enough interest there to maybe make another movie. They'll be looking at Keanu Reeves and what he done with Bill and Ted 3 and seeing if he can maybe get the gang back together. But I don't know if that would work. I just think it's of its generation. Would younger generational people want to watch it?
Mike Myers, out with his own sort of creations, he's not really done a lot, if you know what I mean. He's out with his own sort of writing. He's made little cameos in the likes of Inglourious Bastards, which was a great cameo, and also the Queen.
Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah, he played the producer.
Rhapsody,
yeah,
the producer.
Colour haired guy.
Had a nice sort of bit of irony to, obviously, with the Bohemian Rhapsody thing that he did in Wayne's World. I actually read something the other day which I never knew.
He brought it back in, didn't he? He made that song popular
actually,
again.
He got a copy of that sequence just before he sadly passed away, and he loved it. He absolutely loved that sequence in the car with the head bobbing thing going on, Bohemian Rhapsody, and approved it. I never knew that. I never thought that Freddie Mercury actually got to see any of that film because it came out early 1992 over here in the UK.
Yep. He passed away.
He had sadly passed away in December 91, or November 91. So I never thought he got to see it. So I was very happy to see that he actually got to see that sequence and he loved it.
Yeah, he was a big fan, wasn't he, of Queen, Mike Myers?
Yeah.
And Stephen, you're right. He's not had a huge amount of roles either recently, but he's been great in the two cameos he's had. That bit Inglourious Bastards one was immense. So certainly still got the talent. I mean, he's a very funny guy. If he puts his mind to it, I'm sure he could do something interesting. They could maybe get it back together. But my fear would always be Dumb and Dumber 2.
Yeah,
my fear.
I've always said that Sorry Married an Axe Murderer is one of my favourite films.
Incredible. Bagpipe Solo.
Most people do relate to Wayne's World or Austin Powers, but there's something about that film that's so rewatchable. I think it may be the Scottish thing.
I think of Shrek.
That's it.
Right away when I think of Mike Myers. Yeah, I mean, that character. Did the original Shrek not get put in the archive? That's famous archive of movies. I think that get added in recently. I may be talking absolute shit, but I think it did.
I would believe it would.
I think
it was
did.
A classic film.
Yeah. But look, we'll not talk about that because that will get us onto Star Wars again. And of course, George Lucas, he didn't send the right copy to the archive. Little shit that he is. But I digress. Stephen, this is going to be us moving on to the Indian Roundup, isn't it? The most anticipated Indian movies and shows for this week.
Yeah, this is where I go quiet and just watch.
Yeah, because you can't get the desktop version of the website to load up. But Stephen, you'll be quiet, but you'll be still on the screen because I've created a nice little scene for us both to be on the screen. This is for whatever week this is. It's the week, the 1st of February through to, funnily enough, the 7th of February, my birthday. It's on a Sunday, so I'll actually get to celebrate my birthday, not having to work. Fan dabby dozes, I like to say. But look, Steve, we'll just round down with the stats. It seems to me to be the same rundown as the last week's one, because the girl on the train was number 1 in that one as well. Much to the sort of consternation of some Indian viewers watching in, they were questioning where the hell is KGF Chapter 2. There it's there, funnily enough. I think this is just a weekly thing to gauge the popularity for that week.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's the 12th. I don't know what the hell it is. I think that's just the time. But it's for this week anyway. And it's a girl on the train's number 1. It's 31.2%. Lahore, if I'm pronouncing that right. Confidential was number 2 with 15%. That was on there last week as well. Operation Java's in at 3, 12.2. We've got Pegaru at number 4, 8.4. The Priest at number 5, 6.4. 6 is Chakra, 6%. Upena's number 7 at 5.5%. Adha at number 8, 5.1. G Zombie also on 5.1 at number 9. And finally 10 is Tuesdays and Fridays at 5%. Some of them I remember. Stephen, G Zombie I definitely remember. The Priest I remember. I remember Lahore Confidential, I think that's a TV show, and The Girl on the Train. I think I picked out last week the Girl on the Train and The Priest, and probably G Zombie is my standouts, because I like a good zombie movie. The Girl on the Train's a remake of a Western movie with Emily Blunt, and I think The Priest was an intriguing little concept too. So this is going to change obviously week to week, because there's going to be things bouncing and bobbing in popularity, what's trending, but we all know what the big movies are. I mean, it's Master and KGF.
I think it's fair to say, that we're just trying and testing stuff at the moment, but
done it with box office, as you...
Box office, we did that for quite a few years, and there was at times when it didn't really change that much, but we persisted with it, and it was quite an interesting show. A lot of people liked that segment of the show in our old format. So we get a comment back in the day, Stephen, saying it was the best box office show on YouTube. So I still to this day think that was maybe a family member messaging in. But if it wasn't, then I'll take it. I'll take it. Not many people are doing box office roundups. I think Dan Mural done it on Screen Junkies, but apart from that, not many were doing it, man. So we were doing something different. You've got to do something different in this market, man. There's too many people floating around in the movie sector of YouTube. But I digress. That's going to round it up. Stephen, what do you guys make about the topics we touched upon? What do you make about that 4 and Peter Quill Star-Lord costume reveal on the set of Thor Love and Thunder? What do you make about the Matrix 4 and that potential new title, Resurrections? What do you make about Zack Snyder completing the Justice League and all of the other topics we touched upon on the show tonight? If you get anything to say at all, you can comment below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. I would say follow on Twitch if you're enjoying it, but it ain't on Twitch. There's been a glitch in the streaming. That Streamlabs, they're absolutely shit. And you can also... did I say subscribe to the channel? If I didn't, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and if you do, you'll get more content. But look, that's going to round it up. Bye bye, guys. Bye.